News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
While the world and the country is in shock over the Trump win, here in Montana, still no word on who our governor is going to be. Good morning, everyone. Montana Morning for Wednesday, November 9th, 2016. Right now, we have a chilly 28 degrees in Missoula. Our newscast this morning, sponsored by Western States Cat. Time to get ready for winter with Western States Cat. Cat-branded antifreeze and DEF are now 10% off. Montana's race for governor still too close to call after a night that saw Republicans poised to pick up multiple statewide offices. Democratic Governor Steve Bullock and Republican challenger Greg Gianforte were neck and neck early this morning. Gianforte, the Bozeman software entrepreneur who's making his first run for office, received strong support from rural voters in eastern Montana. Bullock's support came mainly from the state's large cities here in western Montana, especially Missoula. One statewide office, Secretary of State, flipped from Democratic to Republican. GOP candidates were leading in two others, now held by Democrats. And Republican Attorney General Tim Fox easily won re-election against former Democratic legislator Larry Gent. After 8 years of running elections, Montana's Secretary of State Linda McCullough was happy to see that the election process on her final year in office went smoothly.
We've been pretty busy, but all the counties are reporting good, smooth elections, so I'm very pleased about that. We've broken some records with the absentee ballots returned. We're at 90.3% of absentee ballots have been returned. Everything's been going smoothly.
McCullough, a former teacher, also ran a youth vote with 119 school districts, and apparently Montanans learned to split ballots across party lines long before they get out of high school.
We're all over the map. I mean, for president and vice president was Donald Trump. For U.S. representative was Ryan Zinke. For governor and lieutenant governor, it was overwhelmingly Steve Bullock. Melissa Romano was the state superintendent. Tim Fox was attorney general.
McCullough said that although there were some long lines at a few county courthouses, she hadn't heard of any reports of voter fraud or glitches in the system during Election Day. And she said, quote, there were no rigged elections in Montana. Republican Ryan Zinke defeated Democrat Denise Juneau to win his second term in the House. Zinke, a Navy SEAL veteran and former state lawmaker from Whitefish, focused his campaign on increasing natural resources development and halting refugee resettlements. Juneau, of course, the outgoing superintendent of public instruction, she was seeking to become the first Native American woman elected to Congress. Voters were not convinced by Juneau's criticism of Zinke for his strong ties to Donald Trump, nor her claims that Zinke's national political ambitions detracted from his service to Montana citizens. There was a rumor that if Hillary Clinton had won, that Denise Juneau may have been named Secretary of Education. Missoula Elections Administrator Rebecca Connors began her day about 4 o'clock yesterday morning and plans to be going strong throughout the morning today. Connors said just after the first summary report was handed out to media and observers last night at the Missoula County Fairgrounds that all the systems had been operating smoothly most of the day.
We had probably close to 2,000 people here at the fairground today for a variety of different reasons, and we were able to have the maximum wait time of about 24 to 25 minutes, probably on average maybe a 15-minute wait. Everything went really great. It took a lot of people, the work of the Election and Advisory Committee and our late registration committee from 2014 to really help us reach this point.
Connors said the number of people who waited till last minute to register to vote was well over 1,500 in Missoula this year.
I don't know new registrant numbers, but we probably assisted about 1,600 voters with the late registration, same-day registration process, whether they're new to this county, whether they moved from another county, or have moved within Missoula County.
County Administrator Ann Hughes confirmed that 84% of all absentee ballots sent out to Missoula voters were returned for this election, as we heard, of 96% statewide. Republican Corey Stapleton beat Democrat Monica Lindeen in the race for an open seat for Montana's Secretary of State that had been held by Democrats. The two veteran Montana politicians were competing for the open post vacated by Linda McCullough, the Democrat who had served 2 terms. Stapleton is a former state legislator from Billings, who most recently lost in the 2014 U.S. House Republican primary against Zinke. Lindeen, the outgoing state auditor, was seeking to keep the seat in Democratic hands. Republicans were expected to hold on to the majority in both the state House and Senate as well. Republicans now have a 29-21 majority in the Senate, a 59-41 majority in the House. 25 Senate seats, all 100 House seats were up for election yesterday. 19 Senate seats were in contested elections, 10 of which are now held by Democrats. And the U.S. presidential election is causing a boom in the sale of guns and ammunition. Missoula area business Selway Armory sells guns and ammunition all over the country via the internet. Owner Travis Lindemann said the election has caused a buying frenzy.
Starting Sunday and really taking off Monday, we're seeing about 4 to 5 times what we did on the same days last year. For example, we sold 150,000 rounds of .223 online on Monday, and today seems to be more frenzied. We're running out of a lot of stuff. There's definitely what I'd call a panic over I assume everybody's assuming that Hillary's going to win.
Although the fervor certainly helps keep store employees busy, Lindemann says it's a bad cycle for the industry.
These panics, I don't think, are good for the industry in the long run. But yeah, in the short run, it does make things look really nice. But now we'll run into, shortages of things, and, it really upsets customers. And I think it creates a bad business cycle where you want to be selling based on the quality of your product and not just because people are desperate for things.
Though the election is over, he expects gun sales to continue higher than normal pace. Former Montana Film Office Bureau Chief Denny Staggs said he left his position with the state after a reorganization of the Department of Commerce left many of the state's programs in disarray. Staggs says Deputy Director Doug Mitchell began making executive decisions that, in at least one case, led to planned Montana films having to move elsewhere.
I wasn't able to confidently go out and promote the state. So for instance, I had 2 films under one producer, 2 holiday films. They were going to film an Anaconda. It was going to be about a $75,000 grant request. In turn, they were going to spend up to $500,000 in Anaconda in November, which I think October, November is probably pretty slow in Anaconda, and they can use that money.
Staggs said the films fulfilled all the grant requirements, but they were turned down because Mitchell objected to religious themes.
I was told no by the director, and I said, why? And he said, well, it's a Christmas movie. I said, okay. And he goes, well, it's religion. And I was like, so, and I literally said this is funny. So I said, so if It's a Wonderful Life 2 was wanting to film in Montana, you would say no? And I got a bit of a look on that.
Staggs isn't the only individual from the former Montana Promotions Division that has left. Out of a staff of 27, Staggs says less than 5 remain. Our News Talk time now is 6:12.
Newstalk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Patchy areas of freezing fog will give way to mostly sunny skies. Daytime highs will be in the mid-50s. Tonight, freezing fog expected with our lows in the mid to low 30s. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for Missoula's KECI 13.